All right, we are live. I am waiting for Timmy to join, but thought I would go ahead and start just in case there was anybody out there watching. Let me see here. Let me grab this. Okay. Hello to our viewer. We are just getting set up. I am waiting for Timmy to join our call here, and then we'll be ready to go. It should be just a second. We have a little technical difficulty, but we should be up and running. So hopefully it's not too awkward just looking at me for just a second here. And let me try one more way of contacting him here. Let me switch back over here. And like I said, I'm very sorry to those of you who are watching right now. Let me send this invite here to Timmy, and alrighty. Let me get us up and running. Okay. Hope you guys are having a good night. You'll notice there is a Q&A button on the video. If you click that, it'll pull over a thing on the right where you guys can ask questions. And here in just a second, we'll start diving into those and hopefully answering some of those questions. So just waiting for Timmy to come back on. Yeah, he is the expert at these things. So give me just a moment here. And let me see. All right. Okay. Let me try this here. And here we are. Let me. I just got the question, and I cannot see anybody except for me and hopefully Timmy here in a second. But you guys will be able to see us. I just sent Timmy the link to sign in, and we should be back on in just a second. Here we are. Okay, and okay, we should be on in just a second. One of our viewers is devouring a steak. I so wish I was devouring a steak. Although I did have some fettuccine Alfredo, it was not bad. It was no steak, but it was not bad. And we should have Timmy on. I don't know why we are having issues, but and it looks like Timmy is joining us right now. I should have had the drummer effects queued up, but here is Timmy. Sorry about that, Timmy. We are live. People have been very patient with us. Can you hear me?
Hey, can you see? It's that I'm on here, but there was an error in loading your app.
Timmy, I can hear and see you.
See me?
I can hear me.
It says that I'm live. It says that the app isn't working. If it is working, if you can see me or hear me. Chris, is it?
I can see and hear you. I don't know if you can see and hear me.
I can hear you, but I can't. All I see is our logo flat on my screen.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Okay. Are we on? We've got some viewers. They have been patiently waiting. Probably taking screenshots of me, of course. But I think we're good.
Oh, good. Well, welcome everyone. Glad that you're joining us for our online couples class. If you didn't get a chance to see Sunday's sermon, Chris and Sally did a great job talking about the space between. That's not a relationship hug. Make sure to go online on our website and watch it. It was really good. And I'm sure we'll touch on some of that stuff today. To answer some of the earlier questions, the second one was most intriguing to me. The answer would actually be Jana. She actually spends more time doing her hair than I do. All right, well, I just want to, I had through the week been getting some questions on fighting. You know, some people say, well, we never fight. Those people that actually aren't married yet. And some people say, well, man, I feel like we fight too much, and so maybe Chris and I will talk about some of that stuff. But I just want to give a couple things from Dr. Gottman wrote a book on principles to a healthy relationship, and he talked about how to fight fair, because that's the goal of a fight is to resolve. It's not to win or to get your way, or a fight is, and you're trying to haggle that out. And I always say it's not about winning, it's about resolving whatever the conflict is. So let me just give you a few things about how to fight fair, and then if we get any questions, we can address those.
Okay, Timmy, just real quick before you dive in, just to let everybody know, they can click that Q button at any point and ask any question that they would like, and I can see those as they come in. And Timmy, if you look on our window, there's a little sliding out toolbar that on the left side there, and if you click the Q&A, you should be able to see all those questions too. So.
Okay, cool.
Okay, just so everybody knows they can interact with us. So.
Thank you. Yeah, it doesn't show it to me, but that doesn't matter. Okay, how to fight fair? Actually, real quick, Chris, sorry, just technical. When I click on that, it says error, the app didn't load properly. So that actually, for whatever reason, doesn't work. So I guess we'll figure that out.
We can take a look at that later. I don't know why not, but we will. I'll keep you posted on what comes in.
Okay. So how to fight fair. The first one is complain, don't blame, which frankly I don't like the word complain either, but I like it better than blaming. The important thing is when we are in a disagreement with our partner, it's not about you did this and that's the wrong position to take, but to more share how something makes you feel. That's what me and Janet always use. We say, well, when you did that, it made me feel like you didn't care. And I've referenced this many times. If you've ever heard me speak on relationships, I've always referenced Jenny used to give me directions in the car all the time, and I didn't like it. And funny, because she'd even do it in my home city where she'd never been. Turn here, go there. And I finally, honey, it makes me feel like you don't trust me. Like that's what it makes me feel like. I feel like you don't trust me, that I'm going to get where we're going. And understand that it was just me being a freak, and don't tell me what. It was legitimate. Like for whatever reason, it just irritated me. And I told her finally, when I dug deep, I was like, yeah, you don't trust me. Is how it makes me feel. Now, it wasn't that she didn't trust me. It's just she's always been, and when we've taken trips, she's the one with, not, of course, now she's with, right, but back in the passenger seat, and she would have to tell me where to go because she did. But anyway, so complain, don't blame. The second one is make statements that start with I, not you. I would like to see us get closer. I would like to, rather than you never and you always. Those are bad ways to start out any fight. And the third one is describe what you feel, rather than just judging or looking like you're evaluating or kinds of things, because it's important when you share your feelings, like in my instance with the map and tell me where to go, it made more sense to me and Anna, because she's like, I see. And for me, it helped me to kind of dig deep to go, well, why does it me that? Why do I get so irritated? Because I don't want to be that guy, right? It's always irritated for reasons. And fourth one is be clear. Sometimes that's difficult because we're scared to just be direct, so we hem-haw around. And it's best just to be very clear with how something makes you feel. Fifth one is be polite. Obviously, right? We don't endorse people throwing things at each other and hitting each other and all that kind of stuff. So being polite is important. 6, be appreciative. Anytime we've had a tough conversation, an argument, or a fight, listen, I really appreciate what you're doing. Da 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 da. That makes me feel this way. That's in the business world. They talk about sandwiching complaint. You give a praise, a complaint, and then a praise, and it comes better. And the last one is more things up. And I talk about this a lot in my pre-marriage classes because you always have not, but typically in a relationship you have two extremes. You have one person that wants to talk everything out, and they're real communicative, and then you have someone else. They're more interested, and they'll sit and think and think and think and think, and then they just blow up. And I always encourage, try to blend those two, because sometimes you need to process more, and then on the other hand, you can't process too much to where you build it up, you blow up, and you're bringing up a ton of stuff last, 6 months, and it's just information overload. Your partner just going, oh my gosh, taking all that information in, deal with things as they come up. That's a lot more healthy. Any thoughts, Chris?
Oh, I was muted there. No, and just for the record, Ollie is not feeling well, so Sally is downstairs with her. We're not fighting right now.
Hey, dittos for me, actually. Jen is actually with a cold, so.
Okay. I would say, a big one, and I've joked about this, the pulpit stuff too, is even the medium fight, I think, is important. And I say that because Sally and I have our best fights over text. And we do it because it forces us to think about what we're saying and to process those words out. Where we find that if we're in the same room, if we're standing in the kitchen together, things get heated much more quickly than they would if we are sending those messages back and forth. And so there will be actual times where we get into an argument in the house, and one of us goes upstairs and one of us stays downstairs, and we do it over text. So that was just understanding the style. Fights are going to happen. And I hate that because I don't want to set anybody up for it's going to be bad. But if you know they're going to happen, find the best way to do them. Find the best way to go about that. And that's been something that's worked well for us. We've actually said there are certain things that are off limits in fights, and one of those is just the word divorce. It doesn't come up in a fight setting. And if either one of us ever tried to go there in a fight setting, we would immediately just say, nope, can't continue the fight. We'll pick this up when we're calm. Because we've always felt that even if we did get to a point in our relationship where we felt like that was something we legitimately needed to talk about, we wouldn't do that when we were in the heat, in the passionate moment of a fight. We would say, if we really think a word that strong needs to be thrown out there, then we can do it when we calm down. So I would say that's been kind of one of our other rules that we really put in there. And then even though we're both guilty of breaks rule, I really think that if you notice the same thing, like you're referencing the same moment in the past over fights, then there's probably something deeper that's going on there, or one of you needs to kind of let go of that. Does that make sense, Timmy? If 3 minutes into every fight you're immediately going, well, there was that one time in college, you probably need to let go of that one time in college. And so if you're noticing things keep coming up in fights, then there's probably something bigger behind that.
Yeah, holding on to any kind of a resentment over a past discrepancy, and especially, Chris, like you just said, if you're bringing it up over and over, it's obvious that you haven't really dealt with it to the point of where you can really let it go and move on. And so and that will affect everything else, every other fight moving forward if that one's not ever resolved. You have to bring one to a close, resolve it, put it to bed, and then you can move on. I mean, I've seen some couples fight, and they're fighting all the time, and that same issue comes up, and once they fix that issue from way back when, the fights that were happening don't even happen anymore. In other words, that fight back there was so unresolved and filtering into the current relationship, causing grief in everything that they were doing. Chris, I couldn't agree more. Make sure you always come to a complete resolve. And something is by your spouse. It's definitely something that should be handled and addressed and resolved before.
And Timmy, I don't know if you guys have experienced this before, but we've caught ourselves having arguments over something, and even in them stop and we realize we are fighting over something really stupid. And it all started over like, what side are we going to have with the pasta tonight? And all of a sudden you're in a full-blown argument. And usually that means that there's something behind the something. If you're fighting about something ridiculous, you're probably actually fighting about something that's not ridiculous, but you haven't gone there yet.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Sometimes
every time you guys turn on Netflix, you get into like a fist fight. It's probably not Netflix, but there probably is some type of tension between the two of you that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that I've seen that in my relationship. I've seen that in couple relationship. That often there's a kind of pull away the layers of the to really get to what is at the heart of the irritation, the frustration, the hurt, or whatever's going on. Yeah, you peel it away. It's like, well, it's really Netflix. Then you peel that away. It's like, this is something. It certainly isn't Netflix or the fact that I'm still using AOL. I hate to admit this. I was using AOL way past the time that I should have been using it. Some people still use it, but I used AOL for a long time, and I remember all my nerdy friends, like you, Chris, were like, using what? I wouldn't even admit to that. And it's funny, is even this sounds so stupid, even removed from AOL. I've email messages with it. Is AOL even? Is it even still the way it was years ago, where it was like the thing?
It exists, but it's not what it was. But Timmy, speaking of AOL and bad connections, your connection's pretty rough right now. I don't know if it's where you're at in your house or not, but you're pretty broke up.
That changes it, because broke up too, and that's probably me. I'm gonna try to go right down where the router is.
If you could just sit on the router, that would be my suggestion.
Now here we go, because it seems like it's already getting better.
Yeah, you're a lot clearer than you were.
Whoop.
Well, that was creepy.
Yeah, that was. Oh, and the light's out down here. Well, this is a lot better from here. This is creepy down here, but I'll stay down.
At the risk of being awkward, you look okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I came down to my basement, which is where the router is, and I thought that's caused a problem before, because of other things that I've done where it seemed really, really scratchy, which I have a light right there. Let me grab it.
For anybody who just tuned in, Timmy is not being held hostage. He is not in a Middle Eastern bunker. It looks that way, but he's actually at his home. So
Yeah, this is a lot better, Chris. You look really clear. I was
Thank
I
you.
was hardly able to understand what you were saying. I can see your pores. Oh, just a couple things on communication. Kind of and if Chris would get any questions, just let me know. But
Well done.
why do we fight? Besides because we have differences and all that, but fighting is really it's communication. It's a part of what it is a realistic expectation of any companionship, friendship, boss employee. Again, how we fight might be different, but any relationship, marriage, um, it there is going to be differences of thought because you have two different people from two different backgrounds. But if we know, okay, why are we fighting? In the sense of it's because it's communication. This is what people do when they're in communication. So here's a couple things. One, it's important to come to a resolve. When we're fighting, the idea is not to win, but to resolve. The second thing is it's not about winning, right? The third thing is we're needing to understand. When I'm fighting with Jana, now this is hard because for me and most people, when I'm fighting, right, I want Jana to understand me. That's what I want her to understand. I want her to understand my feelings, and I think it's Stephen Covey that says, "Seek not to be understood, but seek to understand." I think is what he says, and that's a brilliant thought because it works really well and transfers right into relationships. When we're fighting, I really do try to seek to understand what is Jana feeling, why is she feeling the way she's feeling, and why is she so adamant about this, and then hopefully, right, she is viewing it the same way. Hopefully, she's thinking, why is Timmy so passionate about this? What uh, what can I understand about why he feels this way? And then the last thing, and talking about communication, or almost the last thing, um, is really making sure that you will apologize if necessary. If Jana brings me something that, hey, that really hurt my feelings when you said this or whatever, um, I feel it's very important to say, you know what, I apologize for saying it like that. I wasn't, and you can go on to explain, hey, I wasn't trying to hurt your feelings, but I know that it did because you said it did. But that just really helps to be a humble person, to be able to say, you know what, if that hurt you, even though that I wasn't intending to do that, I love you. I'm humble enough to say, hey, listen, I'm sorry. And some people say, don't say I'm sorry because they look at that as a negative. Say I apologize, whatever. I don't think it really matters that big much. But it's important to do that. And this is something I always tell. Yeah, yeah.
I was just going to say that apology can be so huge. It can really be like atomic bomb in the middle of that thing, and that and I'm not talking like the sarcastic apology because those happen a lot in fights too, where you're like, well, I'm sorry, but like the legit. But a legitimate in the middle of a fight, and I know like your mind is in go mode, you're in survival mode, you're not thinking, oh, I'm sorry. But if you can answer that little prompting in your heart and say, hey, I really do apologize. It's amazing what that can do to an entire fight. It's just everything shuts down. And a lot of times that's kind of that turning point of going from, hey, we're fighting, to now we're talking about the real issues.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. The saying I'm sorry, the apology it just diffuses most of the anger, the heightened emotions that are within an argument. When there's an apology, you're right. It all of a sudden turns into, we're not just fighting. Now we're communicating. Like we're communicating. And it's not just about yelling and screaming, which is part of what can happen. But yeah, I agree. Apology is huge. This is what I'm going to say now. I've seen this in my counseling practice. I've seen this violated quite often, and I even have had to address it with parents involved, and this is this one. Don't run to the in-laws. Um, I can't tell you how many times I'll talk to couples, and he is going to his parents and talking about how bad she is. And actually, Chris, I think you talked about this on Sunday too. But or she, goes to her mom and just bashes her husband. And I understand when people say, "Well, my parents are so close. They've been my friends, or they're so close to me, or whatever they want to say," which is what I've heard. I still stand by this principle. I never go to my parents to talk about Jana, except unless I'm talking about her in a positive way. I never go to my parents for counseling in my relationship. Now, I might go to my parents for wisdom on something that's family-wide, on parenting or different things. I might talk to them about things like that, but I never go to my parents to talk and get advice on marriage or my wife. Hopefully they gave enough wisdom to me growing up before I got married to still need them to ever counsel me in my marriage. And Chris, you talked about that a little bit too. I don't know if you talked about in-laws. You talked about talking about your spouse with even other people, and I agree wholeheartedly. I just, if you really have an issue, you need to seek, go to your pastor, go to a counselor, a mentor maybe, but don't badmouth to your friends or your family.
Yeah, I agree. And family, I mean, you are not going to find a more biased audience than your parents. And so everything I say to my parents is already going to be interpreted favoring me, because I'm me, and I'm talking to my dad or my mom, and it's so easy, and I've seen this so often, for parents to develop that negative opinion of the other because you're coming to them and they're already biased towards you, and then you're adding all this to it. And I thought Sally said it really good on Sunday, where she said, it's okay to have someone to talk to. I think we all need that, and I don't think that, obviously I said on Sunday, I think there's a place for those professionals to come in, the pastor, the counselor, the therapist, but obviously you're not going to call your therapist every time that you need to talk to somebody, that'd be very expensive. And so I think it's important to have somebody you can talk to, but it's helpful if that's not somebody that's going to cause drama between the two of you. And so, I have a friend, one of my best friends from when I used to live in central Missouri. He and I chat all the time. He and I, Google talk throughout the day. We text back and forth. And, he's somebody I go to, and he really doesn't have any investment in our relationship. He doesn't have any, him and Sally don't hang out, And so I think it's good to have somebody like that you can go and talk to. Now, I still don't ever bash Sally to him, but I do talk to him when I'm struggling, because he's, he prays for me. He's somebody who's there for me. But he's not somebody that we're both going to see this weekend, and then he's going to have this weird tension with Sally, and it's just going to create more struggle. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, and I agree, because I also, Jana has other pastors' wives as friends, and I have other pastors that are friends, and I can be more vulnerable with them and talk to them about things that I'm wrestling with. But like you said on Sunday, I don't do that with friends or people at church, or hey, how you doing? Welcome to Mercy Church. I'll tell you what, my wife's a real pain in the neck. that wouldn't go over very well. Chris, has any questions come in?
I have not had any questions come in. It's a little disappointing. So if anybody out there has any questions they want to ask, I'm keeping an eye on that right now. And so
if anybody's posted a question, I'll address it right now. Just real quick, I was looking over some of my notes for tonight, and I came across some stuff that as I was doing some research about 3 kinds of love, and I thought this was fascinating, because we've talked about when couples first meet, or when in a partnership or a marriage or whatever, when people meet, there's that attraction. Maybe it was a physical attraction, maybe it was an emotional attraction, and for Pete's sake, sometimes it was a spiritual attraction. And being able to determine, is this person, and those are already married, this might be just good to know, because these levels of love are it's good to identify them for your current relationship. But when I think about people who are dating, these things really come into play. Let me just give them to you. 3 kinds of love. You got a companionship love, which is I like you. It's kind of like the love that stimulates the 5 senses. You got smells good, feels good, sounds good, looks good. This is like, I love pizza, I love motorcycles, I love golf, I love you. Okay, like a companionship type love. Now, this kind of love doesn't make for a secure foundation to build a lasting marriage, though a companionship love is part of a committed partnership. And we have friends in our lives, or people in our lives that are, we have a companionship love towards them. We enjoy their company, we enjoy being together with them, and so on. The problem with this kind of love is fascinating. It says this love is based on changeable characteristics. And if the things that once attracted us are gone, then the love oftentimes is gone. When it's a companionship love, so I always, when I'm counseling couples that are dating, thinking about marriage, if they met under certain circumstances, I say, hey, listen, it's important that you met over this particular love, this enjoying this companionship together. We got to make sure that the love is deeper than that. It's got to be deeper than just that companionship love. Then there's the passion love, which is a sensual, physical love based upon sexual urges. It's often kind of has a lusty flair to it. And that love, you got to be really careful, because in a dating type relationship, you want to feel sexually attracted to your partner. You want there to be that attraction like that burning desire for them. Very important to be a part of, to have that be a part of the marriage. But again, that's not the basis of a great foundation for marriage. It's a part of it, and it's an important part of it. Companionship is very important. The passionate love, very important. But either one of those alone isn't enough. And then the last one is what we talk about is God's agape love. It's a genuine love. It's very secure. It's lasting. It's built on a solid foundation, a commitment. I love you. It's a sacrificial love. It's not a love that keeps score, and it's tried and true. So if you're married for physical attraction only, well, I don't look the same that I did when Jana married me. I was 25, she was 21. We've changed over 21 years, and I'm sure we'll keep changing. And I know our love is it's a companionship, it's a passionate love, but it's also a genuine love. To whether she, when she's 90 and looks a lot different than she does now, I'm still gonna love her based upon that genuine love. And I thought this, and I think I got this from a book. I can't remember what book it was, but it talked about to have a really solid relationship, you really need all 3 of them: a passionate love, a companionship love, and then a genuine love that really creates a beautiful relationship. Chris, thoughts?
No, I completely agree. I think that you're going to have moments where the passionate love and even just that friendship kind of thing is not there. I think any relationship, you're going to go through hard times, and you've got to have something to hang on to in those times. Something that's beyond those two things.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, I counseled a couple that I forget, endometriosis, however you say it. You know the word I'm trying to look for.
Right.
That issue affected this couple's love life, and it definitely affected it in some pretty big ways. And because their love was much deeper than just the physical or just the companionship, because she suffered quite a bit, couldn't even be as active as she was, and they used to be very athletic together and all of that. So it affected, just like you said, Chris, it affected the passion side, and it also affected the companionship side. But because they had a genuine, committed love for each other, he stood by her and loved her through some of the struggles of that particular disease, and she came through that and got it manageable and all that. But if they wouldn't have had the genuine love,
right?
I don't know, it might not have made it, because if the relationship is only built on companionship, if that's gone, well then the relationship's gone. If it's built only on passion, well, if that changes or that's gone, then the relationship is gone.
Right.
So there has to be something worthy of building the relationship on to go the distance, to last a lifetime. Because, like you said, Chris, there's ebb and flows to relationships. Early on, right? Early on, it's all passion. That's all it is, and a lot of companionship. Then you bring kids into the mix, and that really changes it. Even the passion part can be a little challenging when you have kids, and it for sure affects the companionship, because they're off breastfeeding, and you're sitting going, I guess I'm going to go play tennis with the guys,
Right.
And so hopefully, yeah, your love is based on something much deeper and far greater than just those two things. I mean, again, all three of them are great. But genuine love is the one that's going to last, go the distance.
Mm-hmm. And, Timmy, I can tell you, Sally and I, we dated quite a while in college before we got married, and we actually went through a period of time right after we got done with school where we were engaged, and we actually broke off our engagement, and we both had things we knew we needed to work on before we could move forward with a marriage. And but it was a very, very difficult process, and I think one of the things that really showed us that, hey, we've got something deeper here, is that when we broke off our engagement, every one of those hard nights, the first person we wanted to call to talk about breaking off our engagement was the other person. You know what I mean? Like there was a love and an understanding of each other there, that we were like, oh, the only person who could know what I'm going through right now is actually the reason I'm going through this right now. And but does that make sense? It was just like this moment of realizing that there was a connection there that went beyond just being attracted, went beyond just enjoying to spend time together, but we deeply cared about each other.
Yeah, no, that is good. I just told someone the other day. Janet was out of town for a few days, and it was just me and my son, who's 13, Vanden, and we were just hanging out. And matter of fact, on Valentine's Day, it was the first Valentine's Day I'd ever spent without Jana in 21 years. So me and Vanden, we watched like 6 movies, and just hung out all day long. But someone said, when you think about going somewhere with someone, or going to a movie, or going to go ride bikes, for me, I want to go with Jana. Like, I mean, I'm like, if I'm going to go do something, I want to, or if I'm going to have fun, I want to have Jana with me. She's who I have fun with. Activities, even going to the mall. I mean, I don't care what it is. During Christmas, when we go shopping, it's like, well, I want to go together. Like, let's you and I go together because it's just fun. Because we love to watch people, and that's always fun and entertaining. We find ourselves just standing by the escalators, just watching people. But we know we really enjoy each other's just company. And you're right, Chris. That is a true sign of, when you're going through something or when you're going to go do something exciting, who you want to go with, and that makes a big difference. So, any brave soldiers that have asked awesome questions?
Not yet. I almost feel like I should offer an award to the first question that comes in here, but.
Well, yeah, actually, it was a question. I think the first question that was posted, I can't see it, but I think it was something like,
when is the right time for marriage counseling or couples counseling? When do you know that is it's time for that?
And Chris, you said it earlier, and it's when the divorce word is in your mind, because we're the same way, Chris. We've never in 21 years ever used the word divorce. Thank God. And that was a decision we made before we got married. So if that's something that you need to discuss with your spouse, that, hey, moving forward from this day on, we're not going to use that word. It's something you got to agree on, though. So yeah, we made that same decision and commitment that was not going to be something we were going to talk about, unless, right, if it's something we legitimately do need to talk about. That to me is a sure sign we got to go to counseling. I can't, Chris. I tell you, I never cease to be amazed at how many people will get divorced and never go to counseling. I don't think that makes any sense. Now, there could be a few rare exceptions. I could say, yeah, if my spouse did that, there'd be no need for counseling. It'd be done. So, I mean, I understand that those situations, rarely that could happen, but 99% of the time, when people just get divorced and I talk to them, or I'll talk to them and they've already decided we're getting a divorce, and I don't know why they even came to see me because they've already got the papers. And I mean, I'm like, wow, to me, if divorce is even in your thoughts, it is probably time to go, you know what, we ought to go commit ourselves to at least 3 months of seeing a counselor to see if he or she can help us navigate through whatever's causing us to think divorce. Because I think I personally, I believe you can work anything out. I mean, I've seen people go through adultery and save a marriage. To me, that would be a difficult one, really difficult. But I have met with couples personally. Matter of fact, one couple in particular, I met them 21 years after the affair. They were married a total of like 30 years. So about 9 years into it, he had a long-term affair, about a year-long affair. She found out about it, yada, yada. I met them 21 years later, and they said, weirdly, that it wasn't the best thing that ever happened to him, the affair, but working it out was the best thing. That he said their marriage, and she said too, their marriage has never been better. And it was a rough time. It was really difficult, but they really learned a lot about each other. And so, I think anything is salvageable, but you got to give it a shot. And really, for your own peace of mind and your own self-esteem, I think that you would have to at least say, we tried everything we could. We went to counseling, we did this, we did that, and it still didn't work out. I think you can at least go, you know what, it didn't work out, and I can be at peace with that because we tried. But to just quit and divorce and just be done, I think you'd regret it, personally.
Timmy, I would say, in response to that same question, and I've been doing a lot of research for a project in school where I'm actually dealing with mental health and how it's viewed in our society and in our churches. And in my research for that, I've read a lot about kind of the stigma of going to a counselor or going to a therapist. And it's funny because in our culture, when we hear that somebody's doing that, we immediately assume, oh, you're weak or you're bad or something's wrong that you've got to go to get fixed. But
Yeah.
when we look at other areas of our life, like no one would ever say, you're training for a marathon or you do CrossFit every day, you're weak. You know what I mean? Like, you must be messed up. That's the only reason somebody would do that. And obviously you would respond and say, no, I just want to make myself better. And training for a marathon or having someone help train me in a program like CrossFit makes me stronger, and I want that. And I hope we can get to kind of a place as a culture and even as a church culture to where when we hear that somebody's in counseling or therapy, we don't say, oh, something must be wrong. We say, oh, they want to be stronger. They want to be better. They want to complete the marathon or whatnot. And so I think, I don't think there's a bad time to do couples counseling, and to be able to go in and say, you know what, relationships are bigger than I'm capable of understanding. These things are complex, that's why I think it's good to go to a therapist, because the human brain is too complex for me to understand by myself. And I think relationships are the same way. And so going and saying, I need help understanding this, I don't think that's a weakness. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's just saying we want to be better. And I'll also add to that I think there's affordable ways to do that. Timmy, I know you do a lot of counseling for anybody in the church, and I also know that even in the psychiatric world, there are a lot of students that are working on their degrees in counseling, in therapy, and they do their last year where they actually work in a facility, and a lot of them will either do it for free or like $10 a session, and $10 a week I think is worth making your relationship stronger,
Yeah, Chris, and with that program that you're talking about where the students, for the $10 the student in their last year can do counseling, what's neat, our experience with that has been that student is usually accompanied by the counselor. I know the guy that worked with my wife and I a few years back when we went to counseling to freshen up our relationship and go through some stuff. He had a student in there observing him working with me and Jana. And of course, he asked if we had to give our approval for her to be in there. But then, her sessions, it was flipped. She was the one working with the clients, and he was in there with her. So, because again, the stigma that people might think, oh yeah, but they don't know everything yet. No, but the counselor with all the experience is in the room, and they offer feedback too, and are a part of the whole discussion. But the training has been the same, and so the expertise and the wisdom that they can give is still profound and still helpful. And a lot of times, because I'm definitely not, I wouldn't consider myself the wisest person in the room at all times, but when I'm sitting with a couple, it's weird because often even my wife and I can be blinded by our own perceptions, and just speaking it out loud to a third person just helps us kind of go, oh, is that how that sounds? And they repeat it back to you, or they say, so Timmy, you're feeling this way, and you're like, wait a minute, so the expertise you would get from a 25-year-old would be very helpful, just as much as it really would, someone that's 45 or 50 or whatever that you think might have more years in counseling.
Yeah.
So don't let that stigma. Well, but they couldn't really help you. Matter of fact, we tried to send some people to a counselor. That's what they said, that they couldn't afford it. And we said, well, you can go to a student yada yada. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, but they don't know anything. And I was like, no. Well, they can help you.
It's so amazing to me, and I'll say this of regular counseling, or regular therapy outside of just couples therapy, it's not really about getting advice. It's about peeling away the layers, and like I joked earlier, we a lot of times have ridiculous fights, but they're about things that aren't ridiculous. And what a good counselor or a good therapist does is they're trained to say, okay, let's peel away the ridiculous stuff, and what's the real stuff? And I can tell you from my own experience and my experience of my friends who see a therapist, more often than not, it's not something the therapist says that they go, oh, that's why I'm here. It's usually something they say. It's, they're talking to the therapist or they're talking to their spouse in that setting, and they say, well, there's this, and I was thinking about, oh my goodness, I was thinking about this. And the therapist led them to that point, but it's not like they're like, okay, I want you guys to go home and talk about this or this or that. Most of the time, it's them just help pulling back the layers, revealing what's underneath.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chris, we got 2 more minutes left.
We got 2 minutes. Any last question comes in, I'll read it. We did get a message from one of the attendees that says, great job, guys. Thank you for doing this.
Awesome.
So. No one has called 911 about your location, which is good. There's a weird wire hanging down.
Oh man, yeah, I actually could show you some angles in here that would be really scary. This is our basement.
Timmy, if you're in trouble and just can't say it, tug on your tie. Just tug on.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. This, especially when you get up, there's the rafters.
Well, Timmy, it looks like we are just about out of time here. Do you want to pray? You want me to pray? How do we want to do this?
Yeah, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Dear God, I thank you for being a God who is big enough to use 2 people being nerdy on a computer and connecting online to still share your word and your wisdom with others. And I pray for everybody who watched this live and who watches this throughout the next week or so, that you'll just touch their lives and use these words to do something good. We love you, God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. God bless you guys. See y'all.
Have a good one.